why did she just like ninja move the ball? You have to understand that like a lot of times like that movie that makes it big for
was
them
already locked in.
is just a series of projects that they have going on.
Right.
Like people like I remember Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan did pretty much recorded like shot them back to back. Freaky Friday, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, and in there was Mean Girls.
Right.
But the one that blew up was Mean Girls. But all of those things were pretty much shot simultaneously.
Right.
So I think it might have been something like, but I don't know if this came out around the same time.
You know, it's actually very fitting that we're watching Dinner for Schmucks because
why
it came out in 2010.
Oh, so like really, it brings it to the point of the episode.
We're really ringing in the new decade with
a movie that opened the decade.
Right.
That was a good little thing because once again.
You could do that, yeah. No. I mean, I couldn't hear it. But I mean, if it's better, put the headphones in.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna just plug them in. I don't think I need to.
You know what? Everyone's getting headphones, and even if mine aren't plugged into anything, I just want the aesthetic.
Shut up, Gav.
And especially once we go live.
Not everyone gets headphones when you go live. You don't need it. It's only for the person
Have you ever seen Howard Stern? Oh, no, I don't think his guests wear headphones.
It's honestly a pretty great accessory.
It's a great accessory. I want to be
not
in.
Necessary.
Like, I want to be in on it. I want to feel like that SNL skit about the sweaty balls. I want to be involved in the whole headphone gear. You both have headphones. Fico, what color are yours? Are those black? Blue. Ramel's are white. I'm getting red, y'all. This is America.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want a gold plated.
Wait, okay, but if we're talking fancy, then like I might also want to step up my. I want to get.
Don't need headphones.
I beg to differ. I think.
Jesus.
I'm wearing fake Versace shirts every episode.
Right, because once we go live, like the wardrobe is like right now I'm literally wearing a robe. My face isn't shaven. My hair looks like I got electrocuted, and I look like absolute dirt. And once we start going live, this isn't acceptable.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a clean fade every week. I can't be looking like shit.
Exactly.
Face masks galore.
And welcome to the show.
Wow.
17 Waverly Podcast. We are here. We are live, indirect, coming at you from our couch. What's going on, guys?
Not much.
Good night, good
Not
evening,
much.
Happy New Year, everyone.
It's
Yeah,
Ron,
Happy
Gab, and
New
Angelo.
Year.
We're here. It's episode 48.
Wow.
Episode 48, and let's just get something out of the way really quick for the new year. We promised y'all that by episode 50, we were going to go visually live on YouTube. But Ramel, do you want to go ahead and be a disappointing deadbeat dad really quick and just break your promise?
We are looking at tentatively episode 55 to go live.
Which still isn't
That's
bad,
right, little
guys.
Timmy.
It's
We're
really
not
bad.
going to your play because we got to work.
You knew.
So-
you knew we were liars when we started out on
We
this
are
venture.
missing
we break
your
promises all the
birthday,
time. We're just
son.
trying to be better about it now.
Yeah. It's a matter of
trying to be honest.
at this point now. It's just we are just gonna say things to make us sound like we know what we're doing,
But we have no
Yeah,
fucking idea.
but we have literally zero idea what the fuck is going on.
You would think that after 50 some odd hours of recording this, we would have probably gotten the process down. But
The thing is,
No.
we have the process in terms of actually recording and doing this full podcast, but
man, I can't even keep my mic from falling half the time.
as we're growing and as we're learning and as we're getting better and deeper into this,
Bro, we're almost
we're
at it.
gonna want to improve and change things and make them better. But the thing is, we don't know anything. So as we're doing this, we're learning the new things.
Yes.
So it's going to look like we don't know what we're doing, but in reality, we're trying to make the things that we do know better, which is then going to cause us to create mistakes, which then makes us look like shit, which then is just going to be a complete cycle until we figure this out.
So basically, we're playing the excuse game right now. We'll figure it out, kids.
Yeah.
I promise.
Sure, guys.
We
do you want
will
to? Do you want?
figure
Do you want to
this
make that
out.
the subtitle to the main? Do you want to do 17 Waverly Podcast _ We'll figure it out?
Honestly, we should probably
Is that
just
how you
put,
guys
like,
want
Yeah,
to
I
present
think so.
ourselves on this thing?
construction thing over the logo because that's basically what it's a work in progress.
That's just some sad shit.
The construction.
Oh God! Look, guys. It's the new year.
It's the new
Obviously,
year.
media news and everything is low right now because this year was just born.
2010 decade. Now
The
we're in
tens. What do you
10s are
call them?
gone.
The 2010s?
Yeah, the 2010s.
Okay, I was like, because
2010s.
it's the 20s, the 30s. Like, do you call them the tens?
We're currently watching Dinner for Schmucks on the TV.
Never seen this movie, and so far I just think
Of
it's all
course,
right.
Gavin's never seen it.
That's
It
a
is a
surprise.
relatively funny movie about a guy who befriends, well, not really befriends. He tries to get a weird dude he found on the street that likes to make taxidermy rats.
Oh yes, rats.
Rodents into little like displays. So he wants to fake befriend him so that he can invite him to a dinner that his coworkers have, where they all invite weirdos that they can then make fun of after the dinner. It's kind of mean, but it's hilarious.
I
The
don't know
character
if
that Steve Carell plays is the freak with the taxidermy.
Jesus.
And it's a very strange role. One of the strangest roles that he's played that I've seen in his career. But it's pretty funny. There's a lot of good characters in it. And it's hilarious. Gab, you should watch it. But
I mean, it's fine. I don't really. It's not really grabbing my interest that much. I think it's an okay movie.
it's not really. It is really not your
Also,
type of
you
comedy.
have, I look at it in this way. Just what a great marker for how the decade has changed in terms of media. Like, this is definitely one of those movies that in 2010 times, yeah, let's go see that. 2020 times, I'm not paying to go see that. Maybe when it comes
I
out.
don't think a movie like this really realistically could be made anymore.
Yeah. Well, we're
And that's how
because we have to
far we've
remember
come in
we're
10
also
years.
we're a decade in.
Into the franchise
We're a
phase,
decade into this
franchise era.
and now we're also in this PG,
PG.
fucking PC, PG
Cancel
bullshit
culture era.
where you can't make fun of people.
Excuse
And
me,
you
that
can't
is
do
not what this
anything.
is doing. This is not PC at all. What the
this-
fuck?
And this is just like, well, this movie is about a guy that's literally makes fun of other people for like
Being
the way
different.
they are.
For being
Yeah, but
different.
they're also not like realistic people. If it's like
Yeah, these kind of people, maybe not to this exaggerated extent, but
Exactly.
they do
They
They
exist.
definitely exist.
taxidermy mice and guy, like he is no way I think like a
I mean,
relatable
obviously,
real person.
again, this is a movie, so they have to exaggerate the characters. But what I'm saying is that, like, we're in this era where you can't make fun of people. You can't
Right.
make fun of people because everyone gets upset about everything.
Everyone's very sensitive.
Somebody's going to find a complaint about something in this movie that would come out if this were to come out now,
There's-
brand new.
there's definitely-
and then somebody would get a rise out of it and
Exactly.
get pissed off.
No,
I
exactly.
don't agree. I think this movie is so irrelevant that no one's going to get upset about this.
But yeah, can't make this movie now, this decade. A lot's changed
so-
in 10 years.
But speaking of the decade and movies that we thought,
Well, we're not going to go there yet because we're going to go to The Mandalorian since that just came out.
True.
okay.
And I would like to get that out of the way first, because then I want to finish the show talking about the end of the decade.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
So let's bang out Mandalorian first. That came out.
Right.
It was the final episode of this 8-episode season. Disney Plus's first, I guess I would say, major drop.
Yeah, I think this is a
because-
big drop. I think I know people that
Because I mean,
got
this is a
Disney
bigger.
Plus
This was a
specifically for
bigger
this.
deal than. This was a bigger deal than fucking High School Musical, the TV show.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like the amount of people that knew about this and know about it.
Yeah, because you're getting all the Star Wars heads. That's which is like a small
Yeah,
country.
yeah. And like
basically.
if you're Disney, you need you want this to be a success.
of course.
That's like it's your first thing come right off the bat. So
I wonder what I still don't understand in terms of streaming services. What qualifies success? Is it stream? Like how many?
I would love to
streams
know
it
that.
gets?
I would love to know that.
It's gotta
I would
be.
love to know what
Because-
for them the numbers are that qualify as a success.
Because there's different numbers from at least from little tidbits I've seen about other stuff.
Right.
There's clicks, like how many views it gets, but then they also monitor how many people finished something.
Exactly.
So for that movie that you guys reviewed, the 3-hour one about Italians, what's that one called?
The Irishman.
Irishman.
The Irishman. So people were like, that Netflix was like, that had a giant viewership,
Right.
but only like 1/3 or 1/4 of the people who saw it finished it.
Really?
Right.
So I'm like, does that qualify as a success, or what does that mean in terms?
See, I don't know
Netflix?
because like I think in terms of like
And there's
I
no
always
ads.
I always try to compare it to music because I would also I mean the same thing with music for me. Like I would love to know what for them for these digital streaming platforms what they require. I mean what they require the song to be. Like how much of it they require to be listened to for it to be counted as like a stream that's a listen.
Right.
Right.
Because then you like that's how they apparently it's like I read somewhere that like I think some count it's like 150 maybe I'm just completely wrong maybe it was either 1,000 or 100 one of the two. I mean I know it's a big difference but like even if it's 100 streams of one song or 100 clicks of a song is a one stream.
Oh.
But I mean, like, or like something like that. It's like I would love to know what
how
those
does that-
numbers are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
for
does
sure.
that translate
That'd be
into
interesting.
revenue though?
That's what I'm saying. That's
Because there's no ads.
It's like the click, the initial click is something that's measured. Like somebody clicked on that song to play it, but then it's like, all right, once that song is clicked, how far do they have to get into the song? 30 seconds, a minute
right. I have no
into the
idea.
song for it to be counted as a stream. And in this
Exactly.
case, we're talking about movies and TV shows. These are half-hour, 3-hour long things.
Like the only
What-
thing I can think of in terms of success or some kind of measure is like how it streams on Twitter. Like Mandalorian,
Right.
like you knew that Mandalorian was making some kind of effect just because of Baby Yoda.
Right, but that's
Like the
different. That's
trending
social
aspect
media
of it,
presence.
Yeah.
Right, but
That's
like if
social media
it's
presence, so
buzzing, then that means
yeah,
people
if
are
it's
watching
getting
it.
buzz, right? But
But I don't know what that translates into. I would consider
Yeah.
The Mandalorian a success, definitely compared to the and have a lot of Fico, you finished it, right?
Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished it a little while ago, actually.
Do you have a question about that ending?
If you're talking about the Black Saber,
Yes.
I went on.
it's been 10 days. We can talk about
I
it.
went on Wikipedia and learned a couple things about it.
Okay, there you go. All right, because I was
And-
gonna say, I mean, as a nerd, as like a Star Wars nerd, I was like losing my shit.
Well-
but then I was like,
this is
does
exciting
anyone
now.
else get what this means?
Right.
Hopefully, in the second season, we get to find out how he obtained that thing. Because if the research is correct, we're now about 8 years after Return of the Jedi. So
Yeah.
a lot of shit definitely has gone on since then. So hopefully,
So how
a
did it
little
come
bit of
into his possession?
Some origins will come out of the next season.
I think it's really creative. I'm not creative, but I'm actually impressed with the appearance of the Darksaber because just that one moment with it,
Right.
for me, solidified how this show or this property could very much launch the Star Wars franchise successfully away
Absolutely.
from
Yeah.
the Skywalker saga.
Yes.
Yes.
Not because it's a lightsaber, but partially because it's a lightsaber and it's like a cousin relation to like the iconic weapon that probably made the original trilogy in the 80s so popular.
Right.
But if you like someone who's watched like the animated shows and stuff like that, you see that there's now so much room for story and for building, and that with the presence of the weapon, I'm like, yo, they're trying to build Mandalorians the way they build Jedis.
Right.
They're trying to make the Mandalorians something iconic in their own right.
Right.
And I think there's a space for them to do it. The Mando, they said his name, but I can't remember what the fuck it was. But the main Mandalorian guy, he's obviously going to get it.
Yes.
Right.
The Darksaber is a Mandalorian weapon.
So it was that weapon was used by the one Mandalorian guy.
No, it was used by the first Mandalorian that was allowed into the Jedi Order.
Oh, right.
And when so Mandalorians and Jedi never used to get along. And
Yes,
so
yes.
this was the first one that was allowed in. And when he got in and all the lightsabers and shit, he was like, I'm going to do my own shit. And so he made the Darksaber.
Which is sick as fuck.
His own
Exactly.
unique weapon for it.
Right.
When he died, the Jedi took the Darksaber and saved it within the temple. Then the Mandalorians went to the Jedi temple on Coruscant, and they stole it and took it back. And then the Darksaber became a symbol for the Mandalorians, for like their king, basically.
See that, like even just that alone, just that little story alone,
That
I
could
would
be
love
something.
a full episode of.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it can
Of like something, you know what I mean? Like even a movie,
Right.
Like even just like an hour and a half long regular movie that explains how the lightsaber was made, how that Mandalorian got into the Jedi thing.
they'll reflect on it for
lost
sure in
like-
season 2. They're
like,
going to have
I would
to.
love a full hour long episode of a season or a movie itself of just how that happened, like because that's that interesting to me, and it has nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
No, but it does have to do, and I think it's just such a great element where they're able to trampoline off the concept of Jedi
Right.
to boost this new story, and it
Right.
works.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
it totally works. Because it's interesting because the Mandalorian obviously is going to get the Darksaber,
Right.
and that basically kind of makes him a Jedi without being a Jedi,
Yep.
and his own iconic thing. And I think like that to me, it's like a character is iconic. It needs something to make them iconic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Mandalorian with that weapon in season 2, I think is like it's going to be that one little nice cherry on top of the cake to make him a really iconic character.
Right.
Even because who are we kidding? Season 1 was about fucking Baby Yoda,
Exactly.
and there was barely any plot in this thing until the
Correct.
end.
Correct.
So I'm really excited for, and that we're probably likely, definitely going to get animated show characters in Mandalorian, which I know other people don't care
Yeah,
about.
see, I don't know any of the animated guy shit because
Darth Maul.
I didn't watch. Like I
Oh,
know,
hell yeah.
I know Darth Maul, but
Oh, wait, no, but I think he died in the animated show when he lost the Darksaber because Darth Maul was one of the previous owners of the Darksaber.
I thought Darth Maul beat some guy for it and then put it on his home planet for safekeeping.
On Dathomir, he had it there, but he lost it.
Son
and
of
then,
a bitch.
so wait, so is this Black Saber like
Darksaber.
like yeah, this is this thing like the fucking Elder Wand?
No, it doesn't have any
Where, like,
special power.
it's just been like going
There's
from
the-
people to people.
One exists, and it's been the symbol of the leader of the
Yeah.
Mandal, or like a specific like tribe of the Mandalores.
Right.
So like whoever has it,
So
like,
it's
kinda-
really not, I mean it's not good that it's been
it's not good that it's in the hands of someone
it's in
who's
the
not a
hands of
Mandalorian.
someone who's-
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of
Yeah.
disrespectful.
And obviously this is somebody who's part of this rebuilding empire
Mm-hmm.
type thing in whatever his name is what is this guy's name?
Which one?
This bad guy in Mandalorian.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon. Yeah.
So yeah, he has it now, and obviously bad guys are created to fail.
Right.
So he's gonna get the fucking Darksaber. Like that's what's
Right,
gonna
right,
happen.
right.
But it not only makes me excited for the season 2 of this, I'm like, shit, what other Star Wars shows can we make? Let's keep talking about that. Like, what else you guys
True.
want to do?
That's that's what I was gonna say to you is one of my favorite things that came out of them doing this, and I don't know if we touched on this the last time we were discussing Mandalorian, but I just love that. I know regardless of what has happened with the Star Wars like trilogy saga thing,
Right.
regardless of what has happened with that, I knew that once Disney was able to get their hands on this, but from scratch, from their own thing,
This is what
that they
would
were
succeed
going to
on.
do well with it.
Yeah, 100%.
It just like it's different when you're taking something that's already built, it's already been
Like
it's already has its fan base they're very polarized. Like they're tough to deal with these Star Wars fans. Especially the real Star Wars fans.
100%.
But hold on, someone tweeted something, and I really agreed with it. It's that I think, and I'm paraphrasing. He was like, "If you like Star Wars,
Right.
you are a real Star Wars fan. Period. Like,
Yeah.
because of what you think of that plot or this, that doesn't diminish you if you're more of a fan or less of a fan. If you like Star Wars, guess what? You're a real fan.
Right.
So-
And I agree with that to a certain extent.
Well,
because
what you're talking about is, and it's not to make it political, I just think it's objectively the truth, It's fanboys who grew up, became adults, and did not age with the fucking property. Because
Right.
Because people hated the prequels, right?
Yeah.
Are you two fans of the prequels? Did you guys like those?
I like the prequels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fe-
I appreciate them a lot.
And guess what? We were fucking children when the prequels came out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then,
So
upon
they
watching
were
them,
for us.
Right.
We've watched them since too, and still like them even
Still
more.
like 'em.
Actually, yeah.
But fuck, I still watch Batman and Robin and the Power Rangers movie, and I still fucking love those.
Exactly.
Why? Because they came out when I was a fucking child. Like,
Right.
if they came out now, I'd be like, this is absolute trash. And there was our Batman drop for this episode.
Yeah.
Nice,
But-
well done.
Nice.
It was right there. I had to take it.
Yeah.
Now for these, I have my complaints about them, but at the same time, for little kids who didn't experience the original ones in the '80s,
Right.
maybe to them this is magnificent. Like, I still don't want to take for granted the fact that the lead Jedi hero in these 3 movies was a girl. That's a big deal.
For sure. Yeah. And I agree with that. I mean, that we're at the age now where a lot of the kids that were watching the originals, like the original 3, like A New Hope and those, like when the people that were watching that were kids when those came out, they hated the newer ones, like the ones in 05.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were like 30, probably in their 20s, 30s,
Exactly.
early 30s.
Yeah.
So for us, we're now in our late 20s, early 30s, watching these and thinking they're not as good
Right.
as the other ones.
Right.
So that makes sense because it's really just generational type of thing.
It's generational. It's for and it's target audiences.
Right.
Like I
Exactly.
I think the new Star Wars trilogy, newest one, was fucking lazy. I just think it just copied the same skeleton of. I've said it before. They just copied the skeleton of the original trilogy,
Right.
And didn't really lift a finger to take any chances. But that's also fucking Disney,
Right.
I do agree with you though, Ramel, where you said like if they could get their hands on something that
Yeah,
they
that-
could create, completely original.
Right. That's the point that I was really trying to get at. Really, ultimately, was that yes, regardless of the thoughts of what has gone on with these 9 movies, put that aside because that was already in the works when Disney took over. It's that once Disney did take over, these are the motherfuckers that have held on and they've had kids like interested in Disney and all of the things that they put out constantly for literally decades. They know what they're doing when it comes to getting the attention of kids,
Younger audiences,
younger
yeah, for
audiences,
sure.
and this is what they do. So I knew that once they took over with this, they're going to give us something brand new. Keep it within obviously this universe. So we have even little touches here and there
Right, just
from
slight
what we already
references.
know. But give us brand new stuff, and I'm going to be interested. And I'm 32 years old.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that kids are going to be watching this newer stuff and going, "Oh, this is awesome," and this is
Right.
all fresh.
Right.
So it's. I'm excited for what is going to come from this. I think that Mandalorian did a really good job. This last episode was awesome.
Yeah. I was gonna say from start to
for
finish.
sure.
it was
Like
really great.
good.
The season itself, it dragged right in the middle because they were doing the Monster of the Week. But we've said this before.
Yeah, I talk shit on this show about it for sure.
But
Yeah.
they really ended they ended strong. With
So
a
strong, yeah.
strong ending because the last 2 episodes, 7 and 8, were really fucking stellar.
Yeah.
Great quality.
It's just really good quality. The comedy in the last episode,
Yeah, in the beginning with like Jason
Yeah,
Sudeikis, that
just
was
like-
so on point when they're trying
so
to shoot.
perfect. Just like him punching Baby Yoda, which is fucking hilarious because it's like a little baby, but he's really 50 years
Yeah,
old, so
so
it
it's
doesn't like it doesn't train like it's not like he's like hitting an actual child.
Yeah. The
So, but it's funny and it's just enough, like just playful enough that you get the point and everything that's going on. But it's really well done. The bad guy, even though we didn't really see a lot of him, we saw just enough to where
we all hate him.
I was like, okay, I don't like the guy, but but he's kind of badass.
Exactly.
So you want to see him more.
I'm interested in him more just to understand.
Yeah,
how
I mean, I
he
want to
got
know
the
what the
dark
fuck.
saber.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, like that last scene with the
Yeah.
dark saber. Now you're like, okay, what the fuck?
Right.
This guy's definitely
Like, who the
somebody.
fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
and what's going and like why does he have a fucking dark lightsaber?
Yo, wanna know what else I just realized
and
too?
I do, I really like the fact that it leads into the second season, giving the Mandalorian like a familiar like menace or familiar foe, instead of like doing something like completely different. Like they're just throwing in like
So
another villain in there.
it at least keeps that storyline of
Exactly, keeps it open.
Mandalorian now has this guy that he's trying to
He's
like
like a nemesis now.
yeah.
Yeah, I just realized like it's 30 years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Right.
And in that time, like the First Order is supposed to like rise up.
So we might see that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Is there a space to do that? Although to be honest, as a what the fuck is this movie? With
I
this
mean,
goat,
look,
man. What I'm saying is, what I'm more interested in now, though, is not so much the in between shit. I want to see, like, if Rey now has to rebuild the Jedi Order.
Right.
I'd like to fucking see that shit.
I would love to see that.
That'd be
Rebuild
awesome.
And
the
think
Jedi
about and
Order.
remember now she's got a fucking gold or yellow lightsaber.
Oh, that has a meaning too, by the way, in case you didn't know.
I have to assume that it did, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't look into it at all.
Apparently,
I ended up Googling like what the different colors meant.
the like a blue lightsaber is used by like a guard, like it's more for like a guard Jedi, like a warrior Jedi.
Oh, so the colors do mean shit on when the
Yeah,
lightsabers
they're
are
actually
actually.
different colors.
Green lightsabers are used by counselor Jedi, so people who are more into like the philosophy of the Force, and, like the
Okay.
thought process. So you have Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn. They were more like into like the thought.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Warriors use like the muscle. They use the blue one. So you have Anakin and Obi-Wan, who are more
Right.
just like fucking like let's just
And
fucking
what's his name?
mercs and bitches.
Wasn't
Luke eventually took
eventually
a green
took
one.
blue, but he was using blue.
He had,
wasn't he?
but that was his dad's. It was Anakin's original.
yeah,
one.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
he
of
took
course.
the green. He made a green one.
He made a green
Yeah.
one,
and
right.
he would by
Yes.
that by Return of the Jedi, who was really about like the philosophy and like the power of the Force.
Then,
and
but
the
then
good-
Leia had a pink one.
no. Leia had a blue one,
Oh no, it was blue. Yeah, it was a thing that was different.
which I
Yeah.
also thought was a little. Well, no, she was muscle. She was kind of a warrior girl. So yeah, the general Organa. Yeah, it makes sense that hers would be blue. Yellow though was the color used by the temple guards, and it was also meant to be the balance between the two. Like it's the idea of counselor and warrior. So like
Oh,
in decision
sick.
making,
That's
you
cool.
have a middle
That's
person.
cool.
That's sick.
That makes
And
sense.
it actually
That's
is fitting that the person now who has to rebuild the Jedi is someone who needs to balance both,
Right.
and that it should be yellow, and that's a unique
Oh,
color.
that's
for her.
sick. I didn't. Yeah, I had no idea. That's awesome.
However, fuck the internet. Someone on Twitter basically wrote what my kind of in my review was,
Right.
where it's like, so you mean to tell me that we got 9 movies about the legacy of a family that was just doomed to suffer and lose everything while the bloodline of the villain continues?
Hell yeah, player.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
That makes
The fuck?
Why not?
Like really, when you really think about it, the Skywalkers are just a tragic family.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about this in the last episode. It's just
I won't go into it again, but it's just so sad.
But what I do like though is that it in a way it's like all right, the good guys defeated the bad guys, but
right.
it wasn't just that. It wasn't just as clean as that.
Right.
The good guy families died off.
Right.
The bad guy family stayed.
Damn right.
But it was still good versus evil, and the good guys won.
Yeah.
But you can kind of go like it gives you a little bit of that, like okay, well maybe not entirely because of that. So I do like that. I do like that they did that.
Yeah. But I would like to see that moving forward, like more. But I think there's enough there for. Well, it's
They could do-
Disney.
they could-
They're never going to let it die.
They really could do a lot. I mean, I just was watching the fucking documentary on Disney Plus about like Walt Disney and like all the parks.
Yeah.
And the last episode, they're talking about all the new stuff that they've been putting in the past like 10 years. And they put in like they recently finished at Walt Disney World, and Disneyland. They just finished both Star Wars parks. That like because before Disney owned Lucasfilm, they had like an agreement with them, and they had like 2 or 3 rides there that were for Star Wars.
That's sick.
But they didn't have like an entire part of the park
like
that was dedicated. That was like the Star Wars section of the park.
right.
And they basically created a brand new like planet out of like the ideas from this like galaxy, and just created brand new things.
I mean, that's
And
how
and
you know
walk
it's not
into
going
it.
anywhere.
Yeah,
If they made
you
a
walk
park,
into the
it's
park
not
and
going
like
anywhere.
it looks like it's like something out of a movie that we saw, but it wasn't. But it's
Right.
not.
I mean, that's essentially why they fucking made Toy Story 4. They made a
Yeah,
park, and it's
yeah.
like, we need money, so...
So it's really, I mean, it's awesome, and I'm glad that they have that. So we'll see what they do moving forward. But it was a really good finale, and yeah, I'm glad that we got that after the movie.
Yeah, excited for the Obi-Wan show. Excited to see what else they
Yes.
create. The next Star Wars movie won't be till 2022.
The
so.
Obi-Wan show, I don't know much about that either. But is it supposed to take place
While he's on Tatooine.
While he's on Tatooine,
Yeah.
so it's him
Watching
after.
over,
Oh, it's him watching over the two babies.
over Luke, not two, because Leia's
Oh, yeah.
on Alderaan.
Oh yeah. So it's him watching over Luke. So basically, we're getting. But here's my other question: do you think we're gonna get to see any Vader in it? Because if that's the case, then like, is the show really just gonna be entirely just Obi-Wan on this random planet doing random little missions while Vader is while Darth Vader is fucking terrorizing? Because that should be.
Here's
when he's
the thing:
terrorizing.
it is actually counterintuitive, or it's just not logical for Obi-Wan to face Darth Vader.
No, I don't mean face him. I don't mean face him because I know that it wouldn't make sense.
But there has to be some mention has to be made.
There has
of
to be
him.
some mention, or maybe even just like a look,
sighting.
because like that's what's happening in the universe at that period of time.
Yes.
Like he's hiding these kids, or this kid from the guy who's evil now, and terrorizing like.
I mean,
planets.
there's rumor that Hayden Christensen will be back in cameo capacity for
That would be sick. That would be sick.
for the Obi-Wan show. I think I think that's not. I don't really like the idea that there's going to be an Obi-Wan show. What they do with it, like I'll see, but
No,
we know,
I don't like the idea of an Obi-Wan show. I would rather get new stuff.
new stuff
course,
because 19 years on a desert planet, there's only so much you can do.
Yes.
The dude's in isolation. He's in hiding. Like
Right.
he's supposed to be laying low.
Right.
So him like going on adventures and stuff and maybe doing other shit when the purpose of you there is to hide and protect the baby. It's
Right.
like, but
No, yeah, I don't see the appeal in the show.
if you're doing
Right
it
now,
just because you
to
want to
me-
do it.
Correct. To me, I'm gonna watch it because I'm a fan now of this whole thing.
the whole
Right, so I want to see
saga.
what they create, but it's not.
But
it wouldn't
I'm
have
not
been
gonna-
my first choice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm excited for that because I already what's there to really tell me about this?
Also, fuck it. You don't want to keep Daisy Ridley and all those characters. Fuck it. Forward 100 years. This galaxy
Yes.
doesn't fucking age.
Exactly.
All the technology stays the
Fast
fucking
forward
same.
100 years.
She rebuilt the
Yep.
Jedi Order. What's the conflict 100 years after the Skywalker saga?
Right.
That's fine.
And if you're giving us a show version of this,
Amen.
then
Let me see
you
that.
you can dedicate one full episode to giving us flashbacks of how it got built.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
There's a lot of
because
things
you have
to do.
not unlimited time, but you have way more time to spread out and
All these
learn how this
events.
happened
Yes.
over an 8-hour period of time
Right.
than a 2-hour
In
movie.
2 hours.
It's just a property where time jumps have existed. They've
Yes,
happened.
correct.
The whole 9 movies takes place over 66 years.
Right.
Fuck it. Jump
Yeah, man.
Jump 100.
Fuck,
If you don't
dude.
want that cast, fuck it. Jump 100 years.
Yeah. Agreed.
Jedi are around, and that's 100 years is enough time for the next evil of the galaxy to show up, here to get some work done,
Exactly.
That's fair.
showing up, ready to do some shit. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, I agree.
Was
We'll
there
see.
any talk about doing some type of series with Darth Maul? Was that just like something I read on Twitter? That wasn't.
I don't
true?
think a series.
Yeah, I don't think a series. I know that Darth Maul is considered to be one of the favorite villains
Yeah, and
in
he's-
Star Wars.
And he's
Like
literally
a
in that
lot of
movie
people
for,
low key love Darth Maul.
Yeah, I would love it.
Low
Some type of
key,
story
it's
on
like a
him.
I mean, yeah, it's like he's got a cult following.
Yeah.
He's like one of the most badass looking characters in the whole thing. But like
I think he's awesome too. I love his look. The
I just feel
look was
he
awesome.
didn't get like a fair shake in episode 1.
Right.
I wanted more.
No, I agree. But I don't know. It's it's interesting. We'll see what they do. I mean, I have to assume that Disney at this point by now knows what the hit and misses are in terms of popularity.
Yeah.
Especially with the Force, with this recent trilogy.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We've actually, I think because of the Mandalorian and all the Star Wars stuff, we're on a pretty good streak of Star Wars talk on the podcast.
Oh,
Do we
absolutely.
have another?
Not a Batman type
It's not
streak,
Batman
but like a
type
good
you're right.
streak.
But it's a good streak.
I'm
You're
into
right.
it. I fucking love Star Wars. I
Absolutely
fucking
right.
love Star Wars. I want more material. I like fantasy shit. Also, well, no, we're probably still too early, but you're gonna get a new, probably the original Star Wars in film soon. Like the thing that inspired it, called Dune.
Oh, Dune.
So Dune's gonna be a film.
Yeah,
soon.
I keep reading. Cool. I keep hearing about what the fuck they're doing. I know that they're coming out with this, the movie Dune, but like I don't know what the fuck that's about or what it even.
Well, Rise of Skywalker
to.
did a meta joke because Oscar Isaac is going to play the Duke Leto Atreides. He's the the father of the main character.
Okay.
And in that scene, they're like, "Oh, you were a spice trader? You were a spice trader?"
Yeah.
And the whole like commodity in the Dune series is a thing called spice.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
he
I
is
was gonna
on
say, what the
air.
hell is
Eric
spice?
has a
Hilarious.
plan about getting spice. So it's like, okay, like if you're a super nerd, you got the
Right.
joke,
Right.
Because this guy's in Star Wars and he's going to be in Dune.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Dune's gonna really be that successful of a film, just because it's so.
I mean, it's supposed to have. It's got a pretty decent cast.
It's
far.
got a really decent cast, but it's just the concept is super metaphysical and introspective
Right.
and extra nerdy. So I'm curious to see how they're going to adapt,
Right.
simplify it for like regular audiences.
right.
True.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's go.
You want to get into the good stuff here?
Let's get into the nitty gritty here. The year's over. We just finished a nice decade-long period of time where we saw a lot of good movies, a lot of good shows, a lot of bad ones too. But we're gonna focus. I want to focus more on what we liked from the past 10 years. As I was looking at this, because I obviously didn't do my homework, I was looking at this last minute, and I'm looking at just there's a fuck ton of good quality stuff that we've gotten over the past 10
a
years.
lot.
So much so that it's really tough for me to tell you that some of the names of the movies that I've added to my top 5 list, it's really tough for me to say that these are concrete for me.
I would agree.
That's I think the biggest problem that I had being
It's like it's just like I'll add I'll do 5, and then I'll keep scrolling. I'll go, wait a minute,
But
then
that
I
one's
should
fire.
probably add this
Exactly.
one. But then I try to justify keeping the ones that I already have in there, and then you just end up in a cycle of just like I don't know what to do. So
It's hard to break it down to 5.
yeah,
Ultimately, I went with not just the ones that I thought that I love the most, of course, rewatchability factor,
Right.
But what I thought had like the most influence, I guess, or something that was really telling of the time of
Sure.
of the
That's fair.
decade.
Yeah, that's cool.
right,
Because that's definitely I think like a really big piece to it,
right.
And like it also like as I was doing it, like I had a question. Like I always wonder, like, does culture influence art or does art influence culture?
True.
Right. Yeah.
Because you see, at least in my choices, you see from 2010 to 2019.
I mean, I think I don't know. I don't think that I've studied enough movies and TV, television, things like that, to think that it does that the art of this will changes the culture for whatever reason. I know the only example that I can think of is like it pertains to music. There are artists and there are moments in music where you can kind of feel like things starting to change in terms of what we're gonna get in the next few years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially me in rap, because I mostly listen to rap. And there are times where even just a guy like Kanye West, as much as he is all over the place, he's a guy that has made projects. Like his albums, some of his albums have changed the course of rap.
Yeah, they've influenced a lot
Like,
of different stuff. For
You
sure.
look at
Their
an
styles.
album like 808 and Heartbreak when he was like depressed because he had gotten broken up with or whatever. I think with Amber Rose.
Amber Rose, yeah.
And he was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna just make an album about where I'm singing because, like, fuck it. And then everyone was like, what the hell is he doing? Like, what? And then boom, he puts this out. I mean, I love it. Not a lot of people. Some people didn't like it, but
That was one of
I
my
loved it.
favorite
And but
Kanye
what
albums,
ended
yeah.
up happening from that? You got guys like Drake that came out
Came
of this.
out from this, exactly.
Because these are guys that are going, wait a minute, this guy is a rapper, but he also now can sing. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that was a moment for me where it's like this changed rap.
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't know in terms of movies and TV. I don't know if there's these kind of things that happen where a movie comes out or like maybe a string of movies comes out and it changes. But I can tell you some shows that I think made deep impacts. I think The Office changed.
But that was in the 2000s.
That was in
the 2000s, not the 2010s.
That was in 2000. But it ended. Definitely ended over past 2010, didn't it?
It ended past, yeah, but it was.
Oh yeah, no, that was like 2005.
That was the 2000s, yeah. That was because it was on the third or fourth season.
Oh yeah, you're right. But yeah, so I mean, that's just an example that I'm thinking off the top of my head. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what did we get in the past 10 years that might have changed things other than, I think, Marvel.
Thank you for asking. I think
I'll let you go ahead and kind of take over with that topic of the conversation.
Well, yeah, because you're right. Like, what do I think changed the course of stuff? It's not on my top 5 movies,
Right.
but for me, the top 5,
like some of the most influential things to happen in this decade, TV and movie wise, is Marvel. Marvel, what they did here.
Film. I think Avengers Endgame is one of my top 5 of the decade. That was just fucking such an accomplishment. But the one that changed things was the one that came out in the very beginning of the decade, 2011, the first Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because it created the concept of the cinematic universe.
Yes.
These were solo movies that came out, and then all of a sudden they're all together in one movie, without that need to introduce, to build characters,
because
to build
you had already known them all, right?
And from Avengers, as the joke famously goes, put all of DC Comics on suicide watch, because from there they took over. They didn't just launch the concept of the cinematic universe; they destroyed the film industry.
Yeah.
The comic book movie rose to power really because of
think about what was happening in movies. I think before this, I mean, you weren't really getting like
Batman.
You were getting trilogies.
Trilogies
was
the norm.
Yeah,
was
that's
the norm.
true. That is true.
Like if I'm gonna make a character and it's really successful, it's like, all right, you're gonna get 1, 2, and 3 because that's what we're gonna do to make money.
Trilogies were the flip phone, and cinematic universes became the iPhone.
Yeah,
like that's
so it's like they
happened.
were able to take the concept of or what you do in a trilogy, which is you build these characters, and then expand it so much so that you're doing this over such a massive stretch of hours. Because in the reality, you're looking at like a 25-hour fucking 30-hour story.
22, 23 films.
Yeah. So, it's... Yeah, I mean, that would be, to me...
A very big staple.
A big moment in the past 10 years that has definitely changed cinema.
It's interesting enough that, like, as I was making the list, Avengers came out in 2011, Endgame came out 2019. So it opened the decade and it closed it.
It closed the decade, yeah, very good.
And there's no way that they didn't think of that.
Kevin Feige knew exactly.
They
what
were
he was
definitely thinking,
doing.
like, you know
he's
what?
Emperor Palpatine.
It's probably
he knows
great. It probably would be great to start this now and then end it in the same decade. Like, by the end of the decade,
that this decade have that fucking stamp, of the perfect streak of Marvel. Not perfect. Some of those movies were fucking trash, and people need to admit that.
Yeah.
But just what they created was fucking insane. So I definitely put that. For me, Avengers Endgame is one of my top 5 movies of the decade.
Right.
Because that was just fucking insane.
All right, we'll go through the list here. Fico, I'm gonna let you start.
Yeah. So
your top movies of the decade, but it obviously very loose.
Yeah. No, like I was explaining to you guys the other day, and like I realized really quickly that the research for this was going to be
Right.
a lot more tedious than I originally I'll pick 5 movies from the last 10 years. That's easy. No.
Yeah.
Because then you start looking at what has actually come out in the last 10 years, and it's like you said,
It's
it's
a
so
lot.
much.
Yeah.
So like I was telling you, I basically had to make a Venn diagram. I split it up between like most successful at the box office, best scores on Rotten Tomatoes,
Right.
and what I had to do was then out of all of those movies, put the ones that I had seen in a list, and then the ones that I actually enjoyed or didn't like, or basically didn't hate, just to make it even broader. And
Yeah,
then from
yeah.
that, I basically put them against each other.
Right.
And had to whittle it down. So basically, I went from a list of like almost 60 movies
Jesus.
and cranked it down to these 5. Do you want them in 5th to 1st or 1st to 5th?
Whichever way you want to do it.
I'll go 5th to 1st just for some dramatic effect.
Sure.
Number 5 for me was Inception,
Okay.
and
That one was teetering for me, top 5. Very.
Inception. What year was that?
I want to
That
say
was
that was like
2000
is it 2005 or 2006 somewhere in there?
I got it
off.
here.
Actually, no, I think it's later than that.
Whoops. Never mind. I do not have it.
Inception was the 2010.
Inception was 2010.
Yeah.
The beginning
Exactly
of the beginning.
2010.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was saying 2005. I'm an idiot. Yeah, so Inception, just because like that's a Nolan film, right? And
Yeah.
Yes.
up until that point, I have never had a movie like fuck with my head as much as that does. And again, we want to talk about like rewatchability. I could watch that movie anytime it's on.
Yeah.
And I will always come to a different conclusion
Right.
when it's over. So yeah, that grabs the top spot. And number 4 for me was Roma, and I hadn't,
Really?
I hadn't seen it. When all the hype was going on about it. I
Yeah.
saw it afterwards, and it's a freaking utterly touching movie. And
Yeah.
the way the whole movie is laid out almost
It's slow, but by the end, you're like, okay,
exactly.
yeah, this
You're
is good.
really wrapped up in it, and it's just the way the movie is just done and shot. The way the movie shot itself is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
So Roma is on there. Next one, 2017's hit release, the Jordan Peele vehicle, Get Out.
Okay. All right.
I really tried to remind myself, just because you've seen a movie recently, shouldn't give it like an advantage over like a movie that came out earlier in the decade.
Yeah.
But
I
felt
find
like-
myself doing the same. I find myself doing the same thing because those are fresher in my mind,
exactly.
like the newer ones.
Right.
So like you're anything from like 2016 and on until now
Kind of
is way fresher than like a 2010
Exactly.
11 movie.
Exactly. But I felt like this piece, just like Guy was saying, like I think it touches on a lot of the stuff that's going on like now. You
Yeah.
know, it's very and it's like I think it's like a perfect kind of balance. Like the comedic timing in it is fantastic,
Right.
but you never lose that sense of like anxiety and like what's going
Yeah.
on and like when is he gonna find out. So I had to put that movie up there, and then plus I feel like Peele came out of like left field with that because we knew him as like a sketch comedy guy.
Yeah,
We know
that definitely put him kind of like put him on the map in terms of like filmmaking
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly, for sure. Number 2, and this one is the one that cleaned up at the Academy Awards, Mad Max Fury Road.
That's a great fucking movie.
And I can't even tell you, like, that,
Great fucking
that
movie.
is balls to the wall from like the first friggin' minute.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I like how like Tom Hardy is like the main dude, but
Right.
fucking who's Charlize?
Charlize Theron
Like
or
she-
Theron or whatever the hell.
She takes control of that fucking movie.
Yeah,
And
it's sick.
she
dude.
might be playing second billing, but in my opinion, she really was the one who stole that show.
Yeah,
And it's everything. The movie's just a freaking fast paced, like adrenaline fueled.
it's pure action
It's
from
pure
start,
action,
to finish.
but it's
And
got
the-
an awesome storyline. Like
Yeah, the cinematography is sick. The colors are
the color-
awesome.
It's so vibrant. It's badass.
It's sick. Right.
And
I've
number
never seen
one.
that.
Number
Keeping
one.
keeping up with my trend,
Of
guys.
course, Gab's never seen it.
Oh Jesus. Number one, if we have a drum roll, the Social Network.
Wow,
Really?
The
God.
Social Network.
I
Wait, hold on. I gotta give that. I gotta give that a couple A couple laser blasts. Go ahead.
Yeah, Social Network. I think the movie just encapsulate the whole decade really. Like
Yeah.
our dependency on social media and stuff like that. How it became. This is a movie that I not only think is one of the best of the decade, but one of the best movies like ever made. I loved Jesse Eisenberg
Yeah.
in this movie.
This is the one that I probably agree with you the most out of all these.
I can't even put it into words. Like it's just such a fucking fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And I really do think it really gets this whole decade of 2010s.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the Social Network, and right before I'll turn it over to Gab, but the thing about Social Network is that the 2010s is the decade of social media.
Yeah.
The rise of social media.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, that movie to me, and once I get to it, I'll tell you why to me that's number one too. It's because of that.
Yeah.
And it fully gives you like an understanding of like how Facebook started this and why he started it, and then you think about that movie and you watch it now, and you just think like what it's become now. What Facebook is now,
exactly.
And you're like, Jesus, like
from what it
came from, it's crazy. But yeah, that's a really good one. All right, so Gab,
go
your
for it.
top 5 films of the decade.
Definitely a different palette on my list. Definitely a little bit different.
I'm expecting
flavors.
Yeah.
Not a lot of metal, fire, rock and roll.
Sure, go ahead.
So my first one, I would have to say, this is no particular order. These are just the 5. Get Out is going to be one of my top 5.
Okay, there you go, Gab.
Okay.
For the decade. And you know that I'm not a horror guy. I don't like horror movies.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised by that.
I think what a great movie that kind of feels parallel to the politics of the decade, especially towards the end.
Right.
A film that I think really turned the horror genre on its head. Like it felt, even though the structure of it's been seen before, it felt new and fresh.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It became a box office phenomenon. I think if you're looking at a film that's gonna really touch on, that's going to be highlighted from this decade, I would say Get Out.
Yeah.
Also, if you can balance horror elements with comedy like that, holy shit.
Right.
Exactly.
It was scary and funny at the same time.
Yeah,
so
he did a
good.
phenomenal job with that.
So good.
Yeah.
So Get Out is definitely one of my top 5. And also, an unforgettable theater experience.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Unforgettable
I think that added to our...
Yeah.
That added to why we like
why
it.
it's so good.
Absolutely.
Pico, did you see it with us?
I saw it with you, yeah. And
That was when we were in the theater,
and
the people were waving the
waving
towels.
the towels around.
by the end, like,
phenomenal.
your barriers just completely diminish, and you were all in that shit together, even though you didn't know each other. You were in that ride together.
Exactly.
That was just so awesome.
Exactly.
I'll get this one out of the way so you guys can exhale with annoyance now. I would have to say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I knew that one was coming. But that's fine.
That's fine.
From Sony, I say that specifically because they created their own style of animation for this fucking thing.
Sure. I agree.
That's good.
I agree with you here.
Oscar winner. It beat the winning streak from Disney Pixar for I don't know how many years.
That's very true.
Gotta
Yeah.
love
Came
that.
out of nowhere. I wouldn't say people were rooting for this film to fail.
Yeah.
But people were like, another one of these fucking things? Another Spider-Man movie? And it just fucking came out of left field. It's feel good. The soundtrack is phenomenal.
It really
Just
Very good soundtrack. Yep.
fucking great movie. Can't wait to see what they come out with next. Don't fucking ruin it. I already said Avengers Endgame. That's just a pivotal thing of the decade. I'm gonna have to. Or here might be an exhale. I would have to say 2011's Bridesmaids is gonna be one of my top 5 of the
figured he was
decade.
gonna
That's
say
a
that
great
one.
idea.
It's a great movie.
one.
It's not an exhale. It's a great movie.
That's great.
Very good movie.
Bridesmaids was the
Great
2010s was what Mean Girls was to the 2000s.
Yeah, I'll give you
That's
that.
In terms of that
that's not bad.
female-led comedy,
Right.
just
It's not a bad take.
it's one of those funny movies that in every fucking scene I'm laughing or smiling.
Yeah.
There isn't a downtime of that whole film. It just it was one of the first big projects for at least at the beginning of the decade for names that would just become huge.
Huge.
Going on. Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. I mean,
Kristen Wiig.
right? A lot, almost the whole cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a big name female comedian.
Yeah, so big. And then my last one, honestly, this one might change. Like, I'm not actually totally confident this is one of my top 5. I just felt it was at the time, and that's Moonlight.
Okay.
The
That's a
Academy
good one to
Award
put
winner.
in there.
Just a good. I was like this or Call Me by Your Name, but at the end of the day, I don't think Call Me by Your Name was that good. The book is phenomenal and iconic, but the movie was like, man. But I like.
Yeah, I was waiting for the homoerotic one by Gab.
Not erotic, just homo. There's no erotic.
Yeah, there's some erotica in there. Come on,
If
don't
you
act
mean
like there's
two
no
teenage
erotica.
boys giving a hand job by the beach,
Gab,
that's not erotica.
Gab, that's still some
That's
erotica.
not
Come on now.
erotica.
That's
Oh,
erotica.
for fuck's sake! It's just a good movie, great cast, good creative way to tell a self-discovery story. I think if you've ever seen the Logo channel, you know there's some corny ass shit out there.
Yeah.
Really happy that it won Best Picture,
Yep.
despite that little fucking bullshit of they said the wrong movie. And
Forgot about
yeah, I think, but I'm still not totally confident that would really be one of my top 5. But I think it is, and I feel like I got all the genres: animated, comedy, action, horror, drama.
No,
Okay.
I like that.
And actually, that's a good segue into mine, Gab, because the way that I went about doing this was by the genres, and I was trying to do one top from each genre,
Oh, nice.
and so the only problem here is that I came up with 6 because the ways that I split up the genre, that's just the way that I did it. So fuck y'all. In the drama category, I'm going Social Network. Number 1 best movie of the decade for me. And I already explained why, so I won't go into it.
Of course.
Comedy, I'm going Wolf of Wall Street.
That's
You do love that movie.
It was, and again, like the big thing that we talk about here is rewatchability factor. And I love Bridesmaids, so it was really close between Bridesmaids and Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Wolf of Wall Street is just, it's like 3 hours of a comedy that at no point am I like, wow, this is taking a long time.
Exactly.
Like
It doesn't
you
feel
just,
like 3
it's just
hours.
funny the entire fucking way.
Exactly.
And DiCaprio, who's not typically known for funny shit, is in this, and he's just hysterical in it as this fucking psycho.
Right.
And Jonah Hill, fucking hysterical. Like these are all these guys. They did an incredible job. Plus the fact that it was like based off of a real story is just even makes it even better.
Even more so.
Just
so outrageous.
so good, so good. I actually added Moonlight
Really?
because I think that Moonlight deserved a spot, even though I put Social Network in drama too.
Right.
But and I think that's why I have 6, because technically both are drama.
Right.
But for me, Social Network, like Moonlight was my first pick for drama.
Okay.
And then I added Social Network because Social Network, I wouldn't even consider a drama. I don't even know what it is. It's just like a really good movie that just kind of encapsulates like everything that my generation of people like kind of have
Went
grown
through.
into these past decade.
Grown
So
with,
it just
yeah.
that I don't even fit that into any of these categories. It's just one of the top movies. So Moonlight for me because I think that it just told the story really well for me about this kid and seeing the movie split into the three parts
With 3 different
where
actors. and
it's the
everything,
kid, 3 different actors, and there's 3 different parts of his life. I thought was just so fucking spectacular and just so well done. So that's why I put that one as one of the top ones of the year, of the decade. I mean, and then I have for children, like kid stuff. It was between Spider-Man and Toy Story 3.
Okay.
But Spider-Man to me just slightly trumps 3 because Toy Story 4 came out. And Toy Story 4 coming out took away from me some of the what really grasped me, like what really connected me to Toy Story 3, and it being like the end of that trilogy and it being so ending. I love the way they did Toy Story 3, but then adding 4 just kind of like now it's just like it's just another movie.
Another movie.
Right.
I get you.
Yeah.
So that puts Spider-Man on top of it. They were very close, but Spider-Man is the better one, of course. For the horror category, I have Hereditary.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Because that
Almost made my
the,
list.
Wait, what's the one
It's-
with the weird like garden porn?
that's Hereditary. No, the
Midsommar.
Midsommar is, but it's the same director.
Same guy.
Of
So
course,
it was
same guy.
this guy's first movie is Hereditary, and when I tell you that, like, I've never watched a movie that it's just like you're uncomfortable the entire way, and it's not like a sick, like, bloody way. It's not an in your face pop up scary type thing.
No,
it's just like fucking uncomfortable.
That's the best word.
And
I
you're
think,
just
to
like
describe
watching
that
this, and
movie.
you're just like, you almost just want it to end, and then you've got the actress, I forget her name always, the main lady.
Oh.
She's so fucking good. Like her scenes where she's just like crying, and see if you can try to find it. I can't find
I'm
it.
right there. Tony Collette.
Toni Collette.
Yeah.
So fucking good at just these like hysterical crying type things.
Yeah.
And just overall, if you have not watched it and you're just into some kind of thriller, suspense, sketchy movie, fucking watch it. It's incredible.
Yeah, that movie almost made the list. It was
Yeah.
teetering.
Right. I love Get Out,
so
but
great.
this was to me a horror movie at its finest. And then to round it off, I have for action, I have Black Panther.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
did Black Panther because one, I mean, remember these are again, this is watchability factor. So
Huge.
So this is a movie that I could watch multiple times. And I did watch multiple times. But also just what it also meant for me, in that what I saw when Black Panther came out in terms of social media and just like this was like you're seeing a black superhero. And just what it did to the like African American community, and like it to me that was awesome.
Right.
And I like it, and I am hoping that at some point in the future, kind of like Miles Morales is in Spider-Man, we get our own version of that as a Latino.
Latino, right.
But that's why I love Black Panther, and that's why I think that it deserves a top spot up there not just because the movie was good, and I'll rewatch it multiple times, and like obviously, I'm sure that there are other movies in this Marvel universe that are better, but I think this meant a lot,
Yeah, I agree with you.
and I think that's why it
for sure.
deserves a spot.
No, I agree.
But yeah, so those are all my top movies of the decade.
I just want to really reiterate or state something that y'all are really lucky that I want to take this seriously because y'all were about this close to getting Pitch Perfect as the best film of the decade.
Wow.
I mean, look,
I thought about it for a
if
long
I could
and
like,
often.
look, I mean, I could rattle off a couple movies that honestly were just like
honorable mentions.
honorable mentions that are just movies that I've seen a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That maybe are not considered great movies, but you're just gonna watch them and they become
But
classics
from
for you.
the decade.
Yeah, from the decade. I mean, let me see if I can pull up a list, but there's a bunch, dude. There's a bunch.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that film.
It's like Grand Budapest Hotel.
I did like that movie.
It's fucking awesome. And
I
was
mean,
hard for me not
Inside
to-
Out came out. Inside Out
right.
was a really good movie.
I don't have to rewatch. I don't have to cry that often.
Cry that often. Let me see what else.
What is it? Bebop or Boop Boop? The fucking guy, the friend.
See, like 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Neighbors. This Is the End came out. Very good movie.
Exactly.
I'll watch it if it's
Horrible
on.
Bosses. Really good movie that anytime it's on TV, I'll watch it
Watch it. Yeah.
because These are movies that like Deadpool.
Yeah,
Yo, Deadpool was a lot of fun.
Like these are movies that are just fun. Like these are really
Good
great movies. The Good Boys.
Good
Yeah.
Boys came out. Like that was a
Good
funny
Boys.
movie.
Like, these are movies that they have a mark on you, but obviously because they're not like upper echelon type quality.
Right.
they
I
don't
mean,
consider
I know
it,
I'm the only one on this boat, but Captain Marvel for me was like a big deal.
Captain Marvel. Oh yeah,
Brie
sure.
Larson.
Right. Like these are the things that like you don't think about when you're looking at
When
these
you're
kind of
doing
lists
this,
because
no,
you're just
you're
thinking
right.
like, all right, what's the best quality? You know, these like you're considering Oscar winners and you know what they
Exactly.
mean. But these are movies that these honorable mentions are movies that you know or you're going to watch always.
Yeah.
These are classics for
100%.
you.
Yeah, actually, and also, I'm so sorry, DC Comics sitting there over in a corner, just like
Yeah.
not getting paid any attention to.
Yeah.
We got the Trinity in a live action movie this
Right.
decade.
I don't know. I didn't even think of them. But now that I'm thinking about these honorable mentions, like
Oh, careful!
There's a lot
DC's
of good-
jumping out the window. Fuck this.
BVS. I loved BVS.
I love BVS.
And I will watch BVS multiple times.
Same.
Until I'm old.
I fucking
Until
love
they
BVS.
until they redo it and give us a better one,
Right.
I'm going to keep watching.
I'm
that
not
one.
taking anything away from anyone. The complaints are valid. That is
course,
not a
of
good movie,
course,
but
of
I
course.
love it. I love BVS.
Also, I'll rewatch Justice League.
Fuck it, I'll rewatch it again
Bro,
tonight.
like, how about the fucking Nolan Batman trilogy?
well,
No,
those
exactly.
weren't.
That was-
Only The Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises, right?
Right, it rises. Yeah.
The
Dark
Dark
Knight
Knight
Rises.
Rises was really good. I thought it was
Yes.
really good.
I thought it was really. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. I mean,
It wasn't bad at all. It was just
deserves
good.
to be mentioned in movies that were
That are
rewatchable,
relevant,
like
absolutely.
and relevant and good.
Kind of an Aquaman movie this decade for fuck's sake.
Django, really
Ja-
fucking
yeah,
good.
I was gonna say like there's a lot of the Tarantino movies that have come out like are all
Yeah,
amazing.
of course.
Y'all got your Logan,
I
which I
love
know
Logan. I love Logan.
Yo,
It's good.
X
I
Men:
watched
Days of
Logan-
Future Past was this decade.
I
That was
watched
a
Logan
movie.
3 times in theaters.
I saw Days of Future Past 3 times in theaters too. That was just a good
insane.
X Men movie.
There's just
But yeah, man. Yeah, these are just we got a lot of really good stuff this decade. I'm extremely pumped for what we're gonna get in this decade, and now what's awesome about this in that us starting this new decade, it's that it's different. Like it is the landscape of movies and TV is entirely different now.
yeah.
Because
What is
when-
streaming gonna do to that?
Streaming,
Yeah.
there was a far off thing back in 2010.
Yeah, and now
Not even a
it's-
reality.
now
When did
it's
the Apple
life.
TV come out?
Apple TV came out
2013,
Yeah. It was like Netflix was around in 2010,
but not like original
But
streaming.
Original streaming, and like the idea of all of these companies going, let's all make our own
Own
fucking
thing.
channel, and then just start dishing out shows.
That was like 2013.
I never would have thought that in 2010 Apple would be putting out TV shows right now that I'd be watching.
right.
So
I mean, I would never suspected anything like that when I heard about House of Cards.
Yeah.
Because that I think was like the first big
that was the-
original.
that was the
streaming
first
for
big
Netflix.
original one, yeah.
And fuck, from House of Cards 2012, 2013 till now.
Yeah.
Like, and Orange is the New Black too, to
Right.
all the stuff. Like Apple's kind of is in their House of Cards, Orange is the
Absolutely.
New
Yeah.
Black phase. And what they're going to build upon on that.
Yeah.
So with all the new like HBO Max, the Green Lantern series, I'm fucking pumped for that.
See,
There's
we're
a
not
lot,
even
man.
like we're not even and the cool thing about this is that this just started.
Exactly.
So the decade is starting with the beginning of this.
exactly. The
Like,
sky,
this
the sky's
just
literally
started.
the limit.
Disney Plus came out 3
November.
months before the decade starts. Obviously, Netflix has been around now for years, but this war and this battle for top spot is just starting right now. So at the end of this decade, when we get to 2030, which is insane to think about, but when we get to 2030, we're going to be going back and going, remember, the decade started with the beginning of this.
Of it,
Yeah.
exactly. The sky is legitimately the limit. It's,
Yeah.
it's wild.
So, I guess we'll end it on that, guys.
It's not bad.
That was the decade.
Nice long decade, good movies, good stuff. Now to look forward to what's coming up next.
Yeah.
Like possibly putting our faces on the internet.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if
Yes.
they're ready for it. But
Yeah.
hopefully in the 7 episodes, we're going to deliver that.
Yeah. Hopefully within the next 7 episodes, we're up there. All right. Well, see y'all later.
All right.
See you later.
Peace.